All right. Well, welcome everybody. It has been a couple of weeks since the last edition of Speaking of Zane, and we are glad to have everybody here tonight. A little bit more about why we had to skip a week here in just a minute, but let me acknowledge some folks as you have joined here for the 175th edition of Speaking of Zane. 175 times that we've gotten together to speak Zane's name so that his memory is not forgotten. It's January the 2nd. Isn't it the 2nd? Yeah, it's the 2nd, 2022. How about that? And we started this back on August the 5th of 2018. So we're going strong. 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. Wow. We're in our fourth year, I guess. Or we'll hit four. Is that right? 18, 19, 20, 21, 20. Yeah, something like that. I was never really good at math. But good to have everybody in here tonight. Let me acknowledge some folks here before I give you a little more detail on why we had to miss last week. We've only missed once or twice over the years, always with a good reason. But Matt Aaron is in there, one of Zane's battle buddies up in Michigan. Hey, Matt. Steve Shirley, one of my buddies up in Nebraska, where I hear it is friggin' cold right now. And you guys are getting snow. More about our weather forecast here in a minute. Lori is in there. She's downstairs from me, exactly right below me on the second. I'm on the third level. She's on the second level right below me. Ken Pesic down in the Orlando area. Good to have you in there, Ken. Happy anniversary. Happy New Year to you as well. My cousin Toby down there in the Ocilla, Georgia area. Katie Aaron, the betrothed of Matt up in Michigan. Daryl's in there from Florissant, Missouri, near St. Louis. Good to have you in there, Daryl. My dad's in there. More about my dad here in a minute. Had a great opportunity to spend some time with him and my mom and my sister last week. Jim Miller's in there. Hey, Jim, more about Lori in a minute. I'm going to give an update on her. Amy, my good buddy up in Buccaneer Bay near Plattsmouth, Nebraska. Hey, Amy. And Lori says, yes, that's exactly why we left Nebraska. Had it not been for the snow and the ice and the bitterness and the fact that you had to purposefully keep yourself alive outside, we'd probably still be in Nebraska, but Lori's right. But a special attendee tonight, first time I think that this gentleman has been online with us for Speaking of Zane, or at least the first time that he's told us he's there. I had an opportunity to meet this gentleman at the 10th Acts reunion a few years ago in San Antonio. First time we had seen each other in almost 30 plus years, I guess. But that's Colin Krim. Colonel Colin Krim was the squadron commander for the 513th AMS when I was stationed at RAF Mildenhall. Colonel Krim, tell me if I get any of that wrong, but it was good to see you at the reunion, and great to have you in here tonight. Always love it when we have some new folks joining, and great to see you there, and great to be following you there on Facebook as well. But good stuff. You probably seen a little bit on my page there. I want to call you Colonel Krim. I'm just going to call you Colin. I guess we're so old now, but good to have you in there. But what we started doing this a year and a half or so after our son passed away. He was an Army infantry soldier, served a combat tour in Iraq, came back totally different. Really didn't have a plan. Wasn't prepared really to depart at the Army at such a young age, and just a really series, just a compounding series of things culminated in his demise, and it really hit us hard, of course, as you might imagine, and part of our healing process, part of our grieving process. Has been to speak his name and be sure that he's not forgotten, like the many others who have served. And we found it I accidentally started doing this, like I mentioned, in August of 2018, and it felt so good to have an outlet like this. And over the years, what we do on Sunday nights has sort of evolved into a broader vision of focusing on certainly remembering Zane and talking about the circumstances of his death and all of that, not shying away from the good, the bad, the ugly, and taking the things that Lori and I have learned and perhaps helping some others that find themselves in our situation with the loss of a child, or certainly um, raising awareness to the needs, the unique circumstances of veterans that are leaving the military, especially combat veterans that are struggling with issues. And I'm a blabbermouth, I'm a loudmouth, and if I could use that to propagate some goodness, I'll be that vessel. Like my lovely wife of 30 some odd years reminded me this week. Well, I have a lot of growing to do as a human being. And I don't pretend to have everything figured out. And like I often say as a disclaimer, um, we don't believe that your losses, anybody that's lost a relative, certainly a child, that your loss is any um, less than ours, or our loss is any more severe than yours. It's just that, like I said, I've got a blabbermouth and I'm willing to get on here and talk about it and expose myself a little bit. I certainly know that folks here have lost children, folks have lost spouses, and certainly the older that we get, that's going to happen. And but there's something just unique about losing a child, no matter how old they are. Zane was 26 when he passed. Um, but yeah, it's just an interesting thing that we do here, Colin, and I'm glad that you stopped by and hope you'll come back again along the way. I see no reason to stop doing this. We've been doing it now for 175 times. So anyway, there's my mother-in-law, Carol Smith. Speaking of being married for 30 some odd years, I have known my mother-in-law for 30 some odd years. And she has joined us there tonight. All right, well, let's see. What do we got here? I'm checking to see if anybody else has joined. Don't see anybody, but sure is great to have everybody in there tonight. And I hope everybody has had a joyous holiday season, a Merry Christmas, and a Happy New Year. It's not felt like the holidays here in Georgia and points south, certainly, and even some points north. We have been in the upper 70s. I think yesterday, New Year's Eve or New Year's Day, we were at 78. And that's pretty warm for Atlanta this time of year. And it's been so warm that we had to turn both the air conditioners up, the upper level and the lower level. We had to turn both of those on yesterday. It was just too dang hot in here, even with the windows open. And but the news about that is between now and morning, between now and in the morning here in the northern suburbs of Atlanta, we are going to be under a winter storm watch, winter storm advisory. And we're likely to see some snow. So we're gonna go from 78 degrees and having the air conditioner on today as of just a couple hours ago to maybe having some snow here tonight. So we'll see how it goes. If there's any snowfall that has gathered up at the National Cemetery in Canton, where Zane is, I may try to make a trip up there and photograph it. Maybe I'll take the drone up there, but we'll see how things shape up there. But all right, let's see. There's my Aunt Mary. Hey, Aunt Mary. All right. Okay. Well, let's see. We had like I mentioned, we had a great visit with my family down in South Georgia last weekend. So Christmas was on Saturday. My mother's birthday is on the December 26th every year on the 26th. And she had a birthday number 77 Now, I've known her my entire life, and I am grateful for her. We're just 18 years apart, and so we always try to get down there to see her. And we had a great visit, and got to spend time with my dad, my sister, my cousin Robert, his wife Angie, my nephew Cody, my brother Brad. So we got to see quite a few folks while we were down there. Stayed the night. Son went down there Sunday, stayed the night Sunday. My dad and my sister, and my nephew Cody had just built a new front porch on the house. It was just beautiful, and we did a little golf carting around town, and Sharon showed me around some places around town, and we made a visit to the cemetery there, and a few other places, and had a good time. Stayed the night, and then on Monday, when we left there, we went to Cordele, Georgia. It's on our way back north of Fitzgerald. We decided to swing into the Georgia Veterans Memorial State Park, which is near Cordele at Lake Blackshear. And recently, my dad and my Uncle Bob, who passed last July, had a brick place there at the Veterans Memorial at the state park, and we went by there to see that, and had a good time hanging out there for a little bit. They've got a B-29 bomber there, and a bunch of other aircraft and other military vehicles and stuff, and we just had a good time there. My dad, you'll get a kick out of this, Daryl. My dad found out that there is now, Daryl, when I was up there in St. Louis, and you and I had breakfast there, I had mentioned that we were thinking about going to the Missouri Telephone Museum, I think it's called, and we didn't get a chance because we blew our budget there in the Missouri Civil War Museum, which was quite okay. But my dad found out that there's a telephone museum here in Georgia, and it's in a little town called Leslie, Georgia, which is just west of Cordele. And it's called the Georgia Rural Telephone Museum. And their website and the Facebook page look awesome. They've got some old cars in there. They've got a lot of antique telephones and different things that I would geek out on. But I convinced everybody to go over there. So my dad, my sister Lori, and my nephew Cody, we decided it was just 10 minutes down the road from the state park. So we went over to the booming metropolis of Leslie, Georgia, not far from Plains, Georgia. And it was closed. We didn't get a chance. We looked in the windows, and the outside of the building is an old cotton warehouse, and a lot of neat stuff on the outside. I got some pictures I posted, but we didn't get a chance to go into the Georgia Rural Georgia Telephone Museum. So that we'll have to save for another trip, as well as a visit to the Blue and Gray Museum, which is a museum in Fitzgerald, Georgia. If you don't know the history of Fitzgerald, Georgia, go look it up. It's called the Colony City, and it was founded in 1896. I think that's right, Dad, 1896. It was somewhat of an experiment, Fitzgerald. It was the town was founded by soldiers from both sides of the Civil War, and they settled in Fitzgerald and made this community the Colony City. And it was where members of both armies settled and lived side by side and began the healing process. And that's why it's called the Blue Gray Museum. The streets are named for the different both Union and Confederate generals and other related things. But just an interesting little town if you ever going down I-75 through the heart of Georgia. Make a little side trip to Fitzgerald. Anyway, we had a great time down there, and we want to spend more and more time down there over the coming years. There's my Aunt Paula down in Florida. Hey, Aunt Paula, I know you guys have been hovering around 80 down there, I think. I saw a picture of Ken in the pool down there today, so I know it's warm in in Florida for sure. Florida is a free state, I guarantee. All right. Lori says she was captive. She was indeed captive. I was her ride home. So she had to go to the telephone museum, but it just wasn't open. We'll have to go back. All right. Let's see. And on the way back from that trip last Monday, we had planned on trying to get back in time to do Speaking of Zane on Monday night. Now, we've done Speaking of Zane on some Monday nights whenever, like Sunday night is a holiday weekend or something, Mother's Day or whatever, we'll often just shift Speaking of Zane till Monday night. And that was the plan, that we would get home in plenty of time to do Speaking of Zane last Monday night. On our way back, we did stop at the Buc-ee's, though. If you guys don't know what a Buc-ee's is, it's like the world's largest convenience store gas station, but they have two of them in Georgia now. And one of them is in Warner Robins, Warner Robins, Georgia, just off the interstate there. But we made our obligatory stop at Buc-ee's on the way back. But anyway, so then we made the trip back to Atlanta like we often do. It's about a 3-hour drive, very relaxing. Not really. It's always a lot of traffic. But anyway, we made it all the way back to town and stopped off at the Publix supermarket to pick up a few items, some sweet tea or not some sweet tea, but some of the tea that Lori drinks and some other things. And we were just coming in, being in the car for 3.5 hours. And so I waited in the parking lot, and Lori goes inside to get these items, and she's just going to come right out. And I don't know, 10 minutes goes by, and I'm thinking, oh, okay, I'm just catching up on email and stuff. And Lori, or this woman and her daughter are walking through the parking lot, kind of looking around, and I'm thinking, okay, what are they doing? Well, they come toward me and they knock on my window, and I'm like, I don't know what's going on. Are you here with your wife? Your wife's inside. Your wife's inside shopping? I said, yeah. She said, well, she needs you. She's had an accident. And I'm like, oh boy. Now you may remember, just about a month and a half ago, she fell and broke her arm. And I'm thinking, she must have fell again. And so I get inside, and this lady is just awesome, her and her daughter. And they usher me into, and there's Lori, sure enough, in the front of the store, laying on the floor. And everybody's all around her, this lady and her daughter and another nice guy who's called 911, and the store manager and some other folks are there. And of course, I'm thinking that she fell, but it turns out she got dizzy. She got really dizzy and went down onto her knees by herself, but was able to call for help, and some people helped her down. So she didn't land on her arm. She didn't hit her head. That was the main thing I was worried about. So she had no blood, no trauma, no nothing. She just was dizzy. And I say just dizzy. Well, it turns out it wasn't just dizzy. She has vertigo. And of course, we didn't know that, even though one of the EMTs got there and said, that kind of sounds like vertigo. But they got there pretty quick. And the store manager was awesome. I actually sent a note to the Publix corporate office and let them know what a great job that they did, and everything. And the guy there was, hey, can I help you get your bag, get the groceries your wife has? Said, no, I don't want to deal with it right now. I don't want to go check out. He says, no. He says, I'll get them all bagged up for you, and we'll put them in your car. So they bagged up all the groceries that Lori had and took them and put them in the car, and waited till the ambulance pulled away. I mean, he was awesome. But anyway, so then we have to go to the emergency room. And of course, there's a lot of reasons why there's so many people in the emergency room now. Part of it's government induced fear, I think. But anyway, so we get to the emergency room, and it just takes a long time for Lori to be seen, but she was finally seen. She said the doctors, I couldn't go in. They wouldn't even let me go in as her husband. So I waited in the parking lot, and they let me smuggle her phone in to her and her glasses. But anyway, she finally got seen by some doctors and everything, and they sort of deduced eventually that she had vertigo. They did CAT scans and all the normal things that you would check for any kind of injury or whatever. I mean, I'm naturally thinking blood clot, stroke, or whatever because of her blood clot issue. But anyway, the doc was pretty confident about the vertigo, and then she has since met with her primary care physician, and they prescribed her some stuff that Lori says was fantastic in reducing the symptoms. Anyway, so we were there till about 2 in the morning, I guess, or got home about 2:30 in the morning. Her incident was at 6 p.m. So consequently, we did not have a Speaking of Zane on Monday night. We were otherwise occupied, but so she has spent the last week really kind of recovering from the whole vertigo thing and figuring out what does that mean and how to deal with it. And turns out there's different levels of it. There's different causal factors and all this stuff. Anyway, so but she felt well enough today that she actually went out to the store and did some errands and stuff. So here we are. So that was a very eventful weekend that we had there. On a good note, her arm is recovering nicely, I think. But anyway, that is why we did not have a Speaking of Zane last week. And once we get into Tuesday and stuff, I'm just like, well, let's just wait till the next week. So that's where we are. But now we did have some birthdays. I mentioned my mom's birthday on the 26th. And then, of course, Zane's birthday is the 29th. So our oldest son, Tyler, was born 4 days before Christmas. And then 4 years later, Zane comes along 4 days after Christmas. And Zane was born on the 29th at, where was he born at, Lori? He was born at, which hospital was he born at, Lori? In Omaha. It was bitterly cold the week he was born. My mom came up there, and it was -20. Bergen Mercy, yeah, that's where he was at. Bergen Mercy was where he was born. Now, it took forceps and a small tractor to pull him out. He weighed 10.5 pounds and had a big freaking melon head, but he just like his big brother. But he finally emerged there on the 29th of December of 1989. I think I got the year right there. And then we had our little granddaughter, Jackson's daughter, Carson, had her second birthday on New Year's Eve. She's a New Year's Eve baby. She December 31st, so they came over and we had a little birthday party. But so that's the birthdays for the week. We have a busy birthday month in December with all those birthdays. All right, well, let's see. Speaking of parks, I wanted to make sure everybody knew about this. Speaking of parks, we went to that state park. But I may have mentioned this last week. I don't recall, but it's worth mentioning again. I did not know this, but all national parks that have an admission fee are free admission for veterans. I think, and service members and veterans and Gold Star families. So if you're considering visiting a national park, there should be no admission fee for you there. Kind of cool. The state park, that reminded me of that. All right. Well, the hat of the week. So the hat of the week, as you can tell and have already probably deduced by now, is the Strategic Air Command. Why is that the hat of the week? I got this hat for Christmas. Lori got me this hat. And I think it's true that she got it from the SAC Museum. And she'll pipe in and confirm that. But what an awesome hat. I mean, bright blue and yellow. You can't miss me in a Kroger or Home Depot. If you're looking to thank a vet, I am here. Look at that. Strategic Air Command, Peace is Our Profession. Just an awesome hat. I tell you, I've worn it a lot just since I got it. at Christmas. So the Strategic Air Command hat is the hat of the week. And I did notice today that my good friend Daryl, he must have ordered his from, did you order it from the Strategic Air Command Museum, Daryl? Because I noticed that Daryl is now the owner of exactly the same hat. He liked it so much that he ordered himself one. I think that's right, Daryl. I saw you post a picture of it today. I just assumed that's where you got it from, but good looking hat for sure. And how can you, I mean, it's bold, isn't it? It's bright and bold, no doubt about it. Good stuff. All right, well, that's the hat of the week. All right, well, let's see. Moving along here, Lori, remind me, or Lori will pipe in there if I'm forgetting any significant events. I know it's been a crazy couple of weeks for us around here, but I think I have covered most of the activities that have occurred since we last convened, which I think was the Monday before Christmas, would have been the 19th, I guess. But I did pull one this week in military history item. On January the 2nd of 1967, Operation Bolo in Vietnam, 30 Air Force F-4 Phantoms operating out of Ubon, Thailand, shot down a third of North Vietnam's MiG-21s in one engagement. That was a total of seven, or 1/3 of their total MiG-21 inventory, and they lost just one Phantom. And bonus points for anybody in the chat who can tell us who led that mission. Who was the legendary pilot that led that mission, Operation Bolo, in 1967? You'll get extra credit for the night. All right, moving on. Steve Shirley is quick on the draw. Robin Olds, Daryl's right behind him. Yeah, Colonel Robin Olds, famous for that mustachio that he wore. Yeah, he's also, Robin Olds is also the first and I think the only pilot to achieve a kill, an aerial kill in both World War II and Vietnam. I think I got that right. I think Robin Olds was the only one to get an aerial kill in both World War II and Vietnam. I think that's right. Anyway, how's that for this week in military history? Good stuff. All right, Veteran Cemetery Challenge. We had a lot of cemetery visits over this last week. I know that Daryl, you may have to correct me on this, but I know that since the last time we met, you have had at least 2 visits to Jefferson Barracks National Cemetery, and maybe 3. I know it'll look a lot different there for you tomorrow than it did when you and I were there a couple of weeks ago because of the winter weather. But I've got Daryl for a couple of visits. Jim's in there. Jim made a visit to Omaha National Cemetery to see our past colleague Todd Vanderwerken. Jim went back a second time the next day. So Jim gets credit for 2 visits because his camera didn't work. His camera phone didn't work on the first visit. So Jim got a couple of visits in there to Omaha. And as did Lanny Witt, my friend Lanny over in Rainbow City, Alabama, was up in Omaha for Christmas. And he went by Omaha National Cemetery on Christmas to pay his respect to our buddy Todd. And then I mentioned me and my sister and my dad swung by the cemetery there in Fitzgerald to see my Uncle Bob, who we laid to rest. He was an Air Force. He laid to rest back in July. And then I made a visit to Georgia National Cemetery on Zane's birthday, the 29th. Absolutely beautiful weather. I sat out there for probably an hour. It was so beautiful. Very few people there. Had the place to myself. The weather was gorgeous. Had a chair there and just hung out and chatted a little bit with Zane. And just a wonderful day. Lori couldn't go. Lori loves to go, and on his birthday especially, and it really hurt her that she wasn't able to go, but she wasn't quite feeling ready on the 29th to get up from the vertigo and everything. But so I spent some time out there. So I'm adding up total of 9 visits for the week, which takes us up to 548. So for Colin, we've been doing this Veteran Cemetery Challenge that started a few years ago when Lori and I drove out to visit our daughter at Texas A&M. And it was our first time that we ever went to another national cemetery, a veteran cemetery, besides our own, where we buried our son. And it just took off from there, and we just couldn't. It was just something about the places, something about them that attracts us and draws us to them. And we shared that with everybody, that we felt this unique compulsion, or I don't even know how to explain it, to visit veteran cemeteries and to pay our respects to those who rest there. We don't know them all, but we owe them all. And so we gamified it, turned it into a little bit of a challenge, and shared it with you guys, and pulled you guys into the challenge with us. And you guys have done a great job over the last few years. We have made a total of 548 visits to 148 different veteran cemeteries all across the country. And we keep adding to that count every week that goes by, and it's a beautiful thing. I tell you, I get so excited when I visit a veteran cemetery for the first time, one that I've never visited. It's just amazing because all of these cemeteries have many things in common, but they have many things that are so unique to each, and that's the beauty of it, and or part of the beauty. I mean, really the beauty is paying your respects to all those that rest there, that gave at least a period of their time in service to the country, and they should be revered. Anyway, so we love this challenge, 548 visits to 148 different veteran cemeteries, and we hope you guys will continue to do that with us. All right, moving on to the Thank a Vet Challenge. This has been one that we really have enjoyed, and it doesn't take very much to do it. This is another one that was on a different visit of ours. Lori and I flew out to Houston, and went to see our daughter at Texas A&M. And on the way back at the airport, I bumped into a Vietnam veteran, and we had a little chat, and I thanked him for his service, and then came back and did Speak to Zane that weekend. And all of a sudden we turned that into a challenge and said, well, wow, why don't we gamify this and see how many people we can tell, thank you for serving. I mean, it's certainly warranted to tell someone thank you for serving. And it could even mean, it could mean even more than we think it could mean to someone, just by knowing someone cares and someone respects that service. And you don't really know 100% what it might mean to somebody. Sometimes we have these encounters where the people we say thank you to will tell us how much it means to them, or they will show us with their reactions, what it might mean to them. But most of the time we don't know, the impact that it might have on somebody just by them hearing thank you or I appreciate you from somebody else. And it's kind of a mysterious thing. We just don't know what the impact might be, but it's certainly a noble thing to do. And we've been doing it for some time now, and we reached a major milestone a few months ago of 1,000 thank yous, and then we accelerated our efforts there due to some incentive that we had, and we've cranked that number up beyond the 1,200 mark. But this week, if I go through the list, these are the ones I know of. This is over the last 2 weeks. And if you want to read the narrative on any of these, it's really great. Daryl does a great job. Ken does a great job. Katie does a great job. Everybody really does a great job of chronicling their interactions with people, especially ones that are they're significant or memorable, or there was something unique about it. And we had several this week. But Katie had a really interesting encounter with an Air Force vet at Kroger. And I call that the "You're Welcome, Sweetie" interaction, but you can go read her account of that on the Speaking of Zane Facebook group. But that was great. And then Katie had just a wonderful story. You got to go read this one, where she encountered a World War II Navy vet. Now, the World War II vets are departing at a rapid pace in late 90s, if they're still with us. And Katie had a wonderful interaction with a World War II Navy vet. Really kind of a heartwarming story. Go read that. Matt thanked a fellow second ID soldier. Daryl, I think Daryl, now Daryl, you didn't come close to Aunt Paula's high weekly count, but you did win the week. Daryl had 2 Army, 1 Marine, 2 Air Force, one of which was a SAC guy, and then a Navy. So Daryl had 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 this week, and that was an awesome week. Lori had thanked an Air Force vet at the Kroger, and then Lori's saying in the chat there, let's see, 2 Cherokee County sheriffs. Okay, so that adds 2 more to the list. Jim thanked the one of the gate guards there at Offutt. Ken thanked 2 Orlando police officers on 2 separate occasions. And then I had one Army guy at Kroger. So if I add Lori's 2, we had a total of 16. So a total of 16 takes our count to a total of 1,232. 1,232 times a veteran has heard from one individual of this small group. Thank you. I appreciate you for serving this country. How about that? So 16 for the week when I add Lori's additional 2 there, and 1,232 for our total at the moment. Jimbo, I'll do that. Yep, I sure will. Jimbo's talking about the My Warriors place. Ken issued the challenge that if we got to the 1,200 mark by the end of the year, he would donate some money to My Warriors place, and then a number of us followed suit there. Jim, I'll send you that link where you can do that. All right. Well, let's see. All right. So I talked a little bit about, I'm going to wrap it up here, but I talked a little bit about doing a new segment here. I haven't given up on this. I just got to figure out the right way to approach it. And we started out with Ken doing this about his father, and that's the Veteran Spotlight. I want to do this segment called the Veteran Spotlight, but I know everybody's a little bit timid to introduce themselves and their service, right? They don't want to, people don't feel like they want to maybe talk about their own self, right, and what they did. I think it would be kind of cool. Maybe we just go around the horn and do that. I don't know. I'd love to hear everybody's story. I really would. But one way to ease into it might be like Ken did, where you highlight a veteran, a family member or a veteran a veteran that's in your life, highlight their service. And maybe that'll be a way to ease into it if you don't want to talk about yourself, and give some of the details of your service, things like the branch that you served in, the years in which you served, what was your job in the military, what bases were you assigned, where were you deployed or went TDY to, what were some memorable things about your service. Those are the kind of things I think everybody could benefit from. And I would love to hear those things from all of you, but I know people are timid about doing that. But one way we might start off with that is telling about someone in our life. Like if you had a father or a grandfather or an uncle that served, and you want to highlight them and talk about their service, man, I would love that. And you guys saw what Ken did about his father who was at Pearl Harbor when the attack occurred. But think about that, you guys. And if you have somebody, a relative or somebody that you want to highlight their service, and maybe that'll give you a little incentive if there's some things you don't know about their service. Maybe that'll give you a reason to go research it and ask some family members or corroborate this or that. And yeah, so Ken, I've got Ken down for the December 7th edition of Speaking to Zane, and we'll hear again about Ken's father in that firsthand account of what he experienced on the day of the attack, December 7th, 1941. Amazing. Yeah, and Lori's mentioned there too that she's, we had a little hiccup over the last couple of weeks, but she's got a couple of ideas, I think, about the holidays and specifically about Zane. But y'all think about that. Let me know what you think, and I would love to put together a schedule and just to hear about veterans and making a veteran spotlight. All right. And as usual, if there's any organizations out there that you guys are aware of that are doing great work, and we've come across a lot of them over the last few years, and we've talked about them, we've documented them, we've shared activities and events and different things from all the organizations that we've all been interacted with or what have you. So keep those coming if you know of any. The most recent one to highlight was the Cherokee County Homeless Veterans organization. Lori spearheaded the gathering of a bunch of needed items for that community just before Christmas. But a lot of good organizations out there to be a part of. And if you know of any that are doing great work or any you're involved with, you want to share anything about them, we'll propagate that. Let us know. All right, we have come to the end of the program tonight. I didn't get a chance to go through. I have been a little bit over the holidays going through Zane's Facebook posts and stuff, and I'm going to farm a few more items there to share. But this was the window of time where he was the first year, 2009. He had just got to Kuwait, then eventually into Iraq over the holidays. And then the next year, 2010, they got home just before the holidays. Of course, his birthday is in there, and then his deployment, then his return. So this is a busy time to talk about those things that occurred during this window. But we'll look forward to continuing to share some of those things about Zane, and again, just speaking his name to keep his memory alive. And they say that a person dies twice, once when they take their last breath, and then again if their name is no longer spoken. And at least while Lori and I are still breathing, I think our commitment is to make sure that doesn't happen. So we appreciate you guys coming right alongside us and spending Sunday nights with us, most Sunday nights with us, and helping us do just that. So we certainly appreciate it. All right, folks. Well, have a great week. I know this may be a short week for some. I know tomorrow my company is off. Tomorrow is the recognized July 1st, since it was on Saturday. So I'm actually off for one more day, but I'll be back at work on Tuesday, probably like everybody else. But we'll look forward to seeing everybody again right back here next Sunday night for Speaking of Zane. And we'll look forward to seeing everybody then. Take care, everybody.